Superman, Son of Kal-El, issue 7, Tom Taylor writing with Cian Tormey on art.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
unfortunately, lesser of the two Tom Taylor books, but by no means bad.
I mean it is. I mean, just by comparison, it is the lesser.
Yeah. My favorite thing about Son of Kal-El, right, is how brisk it is to read. Like, and it moves, and that's the writer and the artist working in conjunction. Because every time I get to the end of this book, I always go to flip the page and there's nothing there. Like, because I get that wrapped up in it, and while this one had monsters and Superman trying to preserve that monster versus this super green Gamoran guard, which cracked me up as a Star Wars fan because it's almost right, Connor.
Gamorrean, yeah.
It's just, again, this is Tom Taylor just working at a level, and like Pete and Connor both just said, it's lesser, but just because Nightwing is that much just greater.
It's doing, because Nightwing is doing this whole thing where it's like it's very down to earth in terms of its style. This here is intentionally, it's larger than life.
Yeah, I mean, so the issue starts with a bit of a tease of like the monster destruction to come, but once we actually jump back to the start of the story, we have John being introduced into the revolution. The group that is behind all this sort of
they're behind the truth, which is
including Chaos Kitty. I'm glad he brought Chaos Kitty back. I'm not gonna lie.
And Thylacine.
Yes.
So it feels like the revolutionaries and the truth are from the same neck. I would definitely venture a guess now that we're gonna get to some of the Rising.
Yeah.
Being responsible for them.
And Jay goes by Gossamer and
Gossamer, which is a weird bit, but Gossamer is a thread, right? You follow the thread. To find the truth.
That plays in the journalist angle, right?
Yeah. I thought it was a weird name to go off of, but I made it work in my head.
Yeah.
So I do like that. He tells John he can wear a mask, and he picks up a domino mask, which just always cracks me up.
It's very Damien-esque mask.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes, there's. But he senses something quite quickly and runs off because this big thing's going on. This issue actually established a link between Bendix and Lex, which was interesting. Bendix is like, all right, get Lex on the line. we're moving. Because some Leviathan-sized creature is moving towards Metropolis. That's the big thing that's going on. And like Lex seems to know about the Rising. He grants him access to his teleporter, which he stole from Justice League technology, which does not surprise me.
Which that's Lex.
Yeah.
Are we assuming this narration that's like clearly seems to be from like some journalistic piece? Is that Jay writing that?
The start implies it heavily. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but he's writing it in hindsight though. So this has obviously come from later in the timeline.
And I think that's what gives this such a different tone to knowing it's this grandiose story, right? That's being told as opposed to just a day in the life of.
Yeah. So the idea that Lex and Bendix are in some sort of a cahoots, or at the very least, like their views align, and he's in on what he's doing, doesn't surprise me.
Did we not know this already?
No, I mean it was hinted at, but we didn't have any full confirmation.
Yeah, I maybe just have read this and assumed that I knew already.
No, this is the first time we've definitely seen them interact by any means.
Yeah, I'm definitely, when they team up, for sure calling them Ben Lex, and he can't stop me.
Lextus.
Yeah, doesn't work as
like because it's Lexdix, right? Because
Lexdix.
Don't Google that, guys. Don't Google that, please.
But that's what it would be, because it's Ben Dix, not Ben Dis.
So you have John, reassuring this little kid and saying, he just looks like a monster, but just because he's monstrous doesn't mean he's a monster. But I'll go make sure just in case. And so a big theme of the issue, like a lot of Superman encountering a big monster, is that he's not going to just assume that he's dangerous. Maybe he's actually a big peaceful being. We shouldn't necessarily just try and kill him. Or her, I think in this case.
Seems to be right.
Yeah, he seems to be right, and Jackson's there, which makes sense, because this is in the ocean, and he's in the know when it comes to these things.
Can't you talk to fish? Yep. I mean, technically we all can, but they understand me better.
Yeah.
I did love that line.
Yeah, and basically, so the climate stuff comes into it a little bit because like the reason why this monster woke up effectively is that the part of the ocean it was sleeping in is
The dead zone.
It's a dead zone now. Yeah. Do you know what I immediately thought of? I thought of the Oxygen Destroyer from Godzilla. That's the first thing I thought of.
I mean that's not far off from what a dead zone is. I mean, if you watch any of these nature docs, these dead zones are terrifying, just because you think it's water without the oxygen. Nothing can grow, nothing can survive, and when you think how vast the ocean is, the idea of that spreading.
Yeah,
and I think also the fact that we're dealing with a kaiju from under the sea here it doesn't hurt that link in your brain to Godzilla.
Right.
So yeah, so the pair of them try to like redirect the monster. Again, I'm using that word just for lack of a better one.
Yeah, the kaiju.
And that's when the Gamora Corps show up. Some supers that have been made by Bendix.
I hate them.
And they immediately just start blasting at the monster because that's what they've been taught. They have to kill it.
Like
I like the touch that their logo, the GC in the shield, it looks like the Warner Bros logo.
Yeah. Also, I would say like knowing now that Taylor pulled Bendix from Wildstorm, and that's very 90s, right? The fact that these guys all remind me of really bad 90s superheroes, it's so bad it's good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the big thing is that one of them dies, and it was teased at the start of the issue. And what we find out though as it's happening is that Bendis is like, no, this is good for us. Let him die, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's because of the how bad it's going to look for Superman. Whether that's because other reasons.
It'll show the sacrifice that they're willing to make.
Yeah.
But he froze, right? And his power is his name is Sparks, and it's electricity. It's like a bug on a windshield. And I was just like, oh my god, that's a terrible way to go.
The little splat on the big sort of like claw of this monster did make me laugh. I'm not going to lie. I found this starkly funny. So that's the end of the the end of the issue.
Well, and I like that you get Jay's crosscut, right? This is I didn't know he didn't move. His powers were electrical in nature. He was only 19, or he was 19 years old. So even Jay, who has every reason to vilify these people, still goes with the truth on how these people are being used.
Yeah, so it's the idea is a victim because he's been shoehorned into this and coerced into it at 19.
Right.
And the issue we're a bit colder in the last issue just because we didn't like the reveal of the mother stuff. And the issue does actually start with Jay looking out into the ocean going, she's out there, my mother. And I'm like, I almost forgot that happened because it's the one part I was like, I don't really need to care about that right now. The rest of it though is pretty good.
It's going to become a thing though, right?
Yeah. And what's worse is that, it could, like, maybe she's done some evil things as well, and that might be a thing.
If she's involved in the Rising, I am going to throw a copy out the window.
Make sure it's cold first.
Go buy 10 more copies and throw them all out the window.
Yeah.
Wait, did you say your copy out the window or a coffee out the window?
He said a copy. Yeah.
Oh, I thought he said a coffee. I just know where my brain is. So I said make sure it cools first.
I mean,
you don't want collateral damage.
No one out there.
Oh dear. So yeah, not a solid issue. This core feels like an evolution of like the idea of him like experimenting on these teens and stuff. So, yeah, it's a good. I enjoyed Bendix and Lex's interactions. I thought their demeanor with each other was kind of just an interest. It was a different vibe to all the other character interactions in the book, so that stuck out to me. So, yeah. All right, Matt, are you gonna rate it? I'm
gonna give this an 8.
I'm gonna give it an 8. Connor?
I'm gonna go with just a 7.
7. I'm happy to match Matt. I think on the art's good. We didn't really talk about the art too much, but it is a different artist.
Yeah.
On this issue. But I think it kind of keeps in tone with what we've had so far. It doesn't feel like it's drastically changed by any means.
Yeah.
So that's neat, and like I say, that splat of blood when the little superhero gets bitch slapped. I did think it was really funny. So, and that's down to the art. That's the art that made that funny.
Yeah.
So, one might argue that maybe it wasn't supposed to be funny, but I think secretly.
No, definitely the tone of it is this is a tragedy. Yeah. But when they said like a bug on a windshield and then splat.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I laughed.
Yeah, I laughed at that too. But I'm glad I did this. It's not one of those things where I laughed at it and then went, oh well, that took me out of it because I laughed. And I'm like, there was no way that was never going to be funny to me.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I had the laugh, so I'm not complaining.